Hey everyone, Lone Wolf Jai here. Now, before we go back into Lostbelt 3, let's run a little check on the summon banners. Well, we got Lee and Diarmwood. Lee, unfortunately, Lee's going to be around for at least... well, the whole thing with Lee is going to be around for at least a couple of weeks, so... And, well, not the least, but he's going to be around until the 21st. Then, of course, we have this one. I already have Benny Enma, and I already have Fionn at MP5, so I'm good. And let's check the New Year's one, and no, I don't think so. You know, I've already got Caster Nero there at MP5. I don't need another USO. Plus, as you can see, I don't really have a whole hell of a lot of quartz. I'll do the free 10 points, the free 10 shot on my own, off camera. But let's get back into Lostbelt 3. Last we left off, Leyline came by to say, well, hey, how's it going? All that other stuff. And we scared him off. And this is going to be a no battle fight, so let's just go right into it. A no battle quest, that is. Alright. Section 8. Land of Peace. Huh. Sounds like you had quite the evening. Peculiar as this may be, it does present another piece of the puzzle. Unfortunately, it does nothing to make the larger picture any easier to see. We know that the Cryptors' first priority is defending their tree of emptiness. And yet, Akuta has not told this Lostbelt's king of the tree's importance. Furthermore, she moved to eliminate him entirely on her own discretion, only ended up swearing allegiance to Qin Shi Huang the instant Liangyu's life was threatened. I was taken aback to see Akuta acting so aggressively when we first came to this Lostbelt. But seeing her so scared and flustered was just painful, more than it was surprising. I guess I didn't know anything about her back when we were both at Chaldea. Ah, yes, about how she was at Chaldea. Holmes and I did a little poking around in the data, and we managed to back up from. We managed to back up from the server, and her entire background reeks of falsified records. Indeed, I had to practically hold my nose as we picked apart her disguise. Disguise? Even though she was a member of Chaldea's staff? Let's see. Imagine her profile is like a painting that's been thoroughly, methodically airbrushed to erase any trace of the original painter. Correct. There was not a single errant brushstroke, so to speak, to be found anywhere. Anyone who has lived an ordinary life will inevitably leave behind a bit of useless information about him or herself along the way. And yet, there was nothing of the sort to be found in Akuta Hinako's data. It was always her entire life. The story was designed to pull the wool over someone's eyes. You mean like a perfect alibi? Precisely. That's just the sort of interjection I was looking for, my dear Watson. So the fact that nothing in her personal information is strange also means nothing in it is real. Yup. There's basically nothing even remotely human about her entire background. And even that's not the only obvious and suspicious thing we ran across. According to her profile, Marsbury Atmosphere brought her to Chaldea, supervised her aptitude test, and oversaw her periodic health exams and interviews personally. It seems every bit of data about her was submitted with his authorization codes. No one else's. The first director? Just the fact that he handled it all alone is one hell of a red flag for security. It'd be easier for him to falsify any data he wanted, considering his position. Be that as it may, if Chaldea's original director was the one who manipulated her profile, yeah, if a guy like that high up in the food chain something you want to keep a secret about her, we're pretty much SOL. By the way, if you don't know what SOL means, it's crap out of luck. How did Akuta end up at Chaldea in the first place? Did she actually have enough race shift aptitude to be chosen for Team A? For that matter, who the hell is she really? At this point, I don't know what to believe. Indeed, everything we thought we knew about Akuto Hinako's personal information is suspect at best. So it wouldn't literally be a stretch to imagine she might have a different goal from the other cryptors. Obviously not. What's more, this goal is evidently more important to her than protecting her Lostbelt or preserving her friendship with his king. One might think that eliminating us would be her first priority, but as we've seen, even that is secondary compared to our concern for Liangyu, not a figure about whom we know next to nothing. It looks like that name only means something to those of us from proper human history. In his Lostbelt, he appears to go by something else. I think he was called Quaji Zero. Quaji. Well, a quick database search suggests that that area has some significance for Liangyu. It's where his uncle, Xiang Liang, started his revolt against the Qin Empire after the emperor died. You could say it's where Liangyu began his career as a warrior. Regardless of who Liangyu may be in this world, the fact remains that he belongs to this Lostbelt. So I cannot fathom why Akuto Hinako, who, though nothing else we know about this for certain, comes from proper human history, cares so deeply about him as to abandon her other goals. That's one pretty straightforward. That one's pretty straightforward. She must have fallen in love with him at first sight. The more foolish the woman, the more likely she is to chuck everything away for such silly notions. Careful, Gordy. You're gonna lose any goodwill you may have built up with your female staff. Bah! The only women here are Solari and Mosh. You borderline Lolita. Well, I was certainly disappointed by what you said. Wait, really? Now, do try to stay on topic. We still have a mountain of problems that need solving. Oh, right. We still need to talk to the people who are going to be less than pleased about this. Even if it's only temporary, I can't believe I have to pretend to make nice with that emperor. Just the thought makes me sick. Yeah, that sounds about right. Negotiate? Out of the question. That tactic plays right into the oppressor's hands. Sorry, I was putting the hood on because it's getting a little cold out here. Do not be fooled, detective. They will tell you whatever the weak wish to hear. The pressure you into swearing allegiance only the presence of your consent at best. Given the urgency of Miss Solari and Gordal's condition, I'm afraid we have no alternative. At a minimum, I would like to maintain our truce with Qin Shi Huang until Koyanskaya is securely in our custody. If we can prolong it until Akuto Hinako is out of the picture, so much the better. Whatever her reasons are for doing so may be, Akuto Hinako remains fiercely determined to eradicate us. So much so that she tried to assassinate Miss Solari in the dead of night against Qin Shi Huang's wishes. Obviously, Akuto and Qin Shi Huang aren't exactly BFFs at the moment. Ya think? But we can't be sure that will last, since there's still a lot we don't know about their relationship. There's every possibility that she may have convinced Qin Shi Huang to take her side in all of this. What about defeating Qin Shi Huang and cutting down the tree of emptiness before music and magic can fall victim to this accursed poison? Should that not be our first priority? Listen closely, Spartacus. At the moment, making an enemy out of all of the Empire lead only to disaster. Right now, Koyanskaya is a wild card who could wreak havoc no matter where she is or whose side she is on. If we don't have an antidote ready to go by the time we face off with Qin Shi Huang, it will be over before it begins. All the Emperor would have to do is kill Koyanskaya, and Miss Lara will be saddled with a poison's deleterious effect for the rest of her life. Let's not forget my own life, that my own life will be tragically shortened. Yes, ultimately we need to destroy the Tree of Emptiness and erase this Lostbelt. And to do so, we inevitably need to face and defeat Qin Shi Huang. So bear in mind that any amicable relations we appear to have now are a strictly temporary state of affairs. So you want us to pretend to be friends until we can attack when the Emperor least expects it, right? Yeah, that's fine. Hell, I used to ask Agarin for advice for that sort of sneaky shit all the time. I refuse. Acquiescence is the first step to allegiance. And allegiance inevitably leads to subservience. My master must never side with oppression, but always rebel against it. She should rebel against pain, rebel against suffering, and ultimate triumph by rebelling against destiny. Get the goddamn stick out of your ass, would ya? We're playing a long game here, long kid. The important part is that we get to destroy the Empire in the end. So why don't you just think of all the rebelling you're going to get to do later as a prize for all the restraint you gotta show now? I mean, you love repressing your own shit, right? Are you all truly willing to go along with all this? When I tried to assassinate the Emperor before, I lost the moment I focused on something other than the killing itself. But I'm not the one leading the attack this time. I get that slaughtering is the wrong way of fighting. I'm sorry, I know it's a lot to ask. Well, there's nothing I can do if you're going to plead at me with that helpless look on your face. I mean, you're just now realizing how hopeless your chances are against Liangyu, right? It's getting stuffy in here, with so many of us present. I think I'll step out for a bit of fresh air. Huh? Oh, just wait to be Senpai and Jinkei. Me, Senpai, and Jinkei, what's going on? Let's go out and talk to him. What is it, Holmes? Is there something else you wanted to talk to us about? I thought it'd be best if Spartacus were absent for this next part. I trust you retain your cool, Miss Jinkei, but let me remind you to refrain from raising your voice. As long as we whisper, Qin Shi Huang should be unable to hear us. I have mostly finished my analysis of the benefaction drug, and it's beyond anything I could have imagined. Its psychotropic effects are secondary at most. Its true purpose lies in boosting the immune system, or perhaps I should say, enhancing it to an unfathomable degree. And despite its potency, there are almost no negative side effects as long as one condition remains unmet. It is well beyond that what modern medical science could achieve. In fact, I doubt even magecraft proper human history could create a drug so effective. It is something that can only be made here, and the Lostbelt pharmaceuticals and biochemistry are entirely based on sage arts. Now I see. So it's mass-produced elixir. And they just hand out something like that amazing to every citizen during every major celebration. Indeed. And as a result, illness and disease have been completely eradicated. I doubt any of these people have had so much as a cold since they were born. Then it's a real, actual panacea. Hold on. What's the condition that needs to go unmet for this to work? Ah, yes, that would be old age. Once a person's hormonal secretions have reached a certain level, this drug functions as a lethal anesthetic. I estimate it to be at least several thousand times more potent than pentobarbital. Hang on, wouldn't that mean? Now I see. I thought it was strange that we hadn't seen a single elderly person here. This is no unintended side effect. It's quite clear that the medicine was designed to work this way. Designed? Then it really is poisoning everyone who takes it. So when someone's body secretes a certain amount of hormones, in other words, once the body's age passes to a certain point, they just die? Correct. From our perspective, distributing a drug like this is no better than mass murder. Still, the case can be made from a Buddhist perspective, and how it views the four inevitables of human life, namely birth, aging, disease, and death. If one considered both old age and illness equally undesirable, one could say this medicine protects you from the pain of the former and the latter at once. I cannot say if every world, under all possible conditions, would eventually arrive at these ethics of pharmaceutical science. But the wheat grown here has been extensively genetically modified into something extraordinary. Its resistance to disease, its yield, everything about it stands leagues above its natural counterpart property in history. With a crop like this, one can live their entire life without ever knowing hunger. And if you ever had to worry about food, you'd probably never think about it never think to take from someone else. There is no economy here. No division between rich and poor exists. We have all seen for ourselves how ignorant they are of war and violence. It seems that life here is as far as removed from the suffering that one might expect in our world as it is possible to imagine. And when their life has run its course, this drug puts them to sleep permanently. Well before they can begin to feel the pain of old age. I dare say that, if nothing else, this was done a frighteningly effective job of removing pain and suffering from people's lives. But that's no way for people to live. They're practically being kept as livestock. So this is how Qin Shi Huang, how that dictator decided to solve humanity's suffering. Makes sense. No way a leader who abandoned their own humanity would in turn treat their subjects like people. As far as making a decision between this Lostbelt property and history, Sparta's claim that we should fight to determine which should be allowed to survive. If hearing that gave you pause, I would urge you to give the matter more thought. Keeping what you know know about this benefaction in mind. In this world, the definition of a happy human life is exceedingly simple. Seeing as you will need to make this choice sooner or later, I think at best I suspend my usual behavior in favor of full disclosure. Allow me to share with you some speculation. Do keep in mind that this is not a deduction, but rather a bit of conjecture on my part. Holmes, this relates solely to one question, namely, why the Spirograd failed to work with this Lostbelt's ley line. I think it has something to do with this medicine? That may not be directly related, but does support my current hypothesis. Hero spirits have always been on one side of Alaya, mankind's collective unconscious. They are defined foremost by their purpose, protecting humanity. While there may be different methods and conditions involved in summoning servants, the one thing they all have in common without exception is responding to the summoner's prayer. However, if there was not a single person in the world who had that emphatic need to pray for something, and if such a world had flourished unabated for hundreds of years, right, then it would be all surprising if that world lost its connection to the throne of heroes entirely. For that matter, there wouldn't even be any hero experience in that world, just like there aren't here. After all, every hero might be needed to fight someday, like King Liangyu, is still alive. So this Lostbelt is a world that has no need for hero experience at all? Can you imagine a person wishing fervently for anything in the world to free from hunger, pain, and suffering, Miss Caroline? I know I certainly cannot. Indeed, it only makes sense that servants would never appear in a world where no one wishes for anything. Thanks for telling us this, Holmes. Whatever doubts I might have had are gone now. I'll do everything in my power to take Qin Shi Huang down and put an end to this disgusting regime. As long as I get there in the end, I don't care how far out of our way we have to go. So right now, let's focus on curing Solaria. Now that I know where I'm going, I can wait as long as it takes. Thank you, Gene K. Progress report. We should finish a complete scan of the vehicle's interior by morning. Good. Be careful not to overlook anything. Remember, the future of the Empire rests on your shoulders. Yes, ma'am. I'll go see how things are outside. Now, I like using her. She's a cool character. The Shadow Border. Product of a world entirely different from Mars, huh? because the moon does not know how to drink. My shadow merely follows the movement of my body. The moon has brought the shadow to keep me in company a while. The practice of mirth should keep pace with spring. What was that, young man? Oh, that's called a poem. A guy named Li Bai wrote it a long time ago. Who taught you that? Well, we see his investigation is going smoothly. It's proceeding smoothly. It feels good to have such data moving among our circuits. Do you think you will be able to analyze that otherworldly device, Your Imperial Majesty? Who do you think we are? This holy vessel's full of calculation capabilities can easily handle a single vehicle. Or so we thought. This is amazing. How could they fit so much functionality into these dimensions? It's hard to believe that what we are seeing. Forgive the intrusion, Your Imperial Majesty, but there's something you should know. What is this about? The children of the village are reciting poems. You're kidding. When I asked them about it, they said they learned them from Chaldea. We see that Chaldea are Confucians. Yes, Your Imperial Majesty. It's undoubtedly the work of Confucianism. Oh boy. I don't know my Chinese history, but Confucius, well, it was interesting. Okay. So this next fight is against berserkers. That means I'm taking my all foreigner team. But that'll be the next video. Until then, this is Lostbelt saying thank you all for watching. Take care of yourselves.